Good day, dear friends, and welcome. Welcome to this, our Monday version of this thing of ours, which follows our Sunday version of this thing of ours. A hearty hello and a hi-yo silver to my dear friends and colleagues and compatriots and fellow travelers and members of the conspiratorium, the fellow conspirators, members of the clerisy. Let me remind you that it is 149 days until the election. 149 days until an election that is changing as drastically as anyone could ever imagine. And today's topic is the world is changing rapidly before your eyes, and here's how and why. And it's always important to sit back and to ask yourself, what is going on, what is changing, and how has it changed? What specifically is going on? A lot of folks don't like that. I'm always thinking, what exactly? Look at all that's changed. And it's also important, dear friends, dear friends, to always look at things methodically, specifically, scientifically. Don't get caught up in the hullabaloo, these hobgoblins of confusion. Just relax. And I'm going to tell you what to think about. And remember, I'm only interested in this thing called the truth. I don't care about the way folks wish things could be, the way they want things to be. If there's something that is contrary to our particular way of thinking, I call it out. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of this. Something you probably have not thought of, but let me remind you of this, and this is critical. First and foremost, dear friends, Hunter Biden, we normally is not considered high on our list of folks that we admire and that we love and that we think is a great and wonderful human being. Hunter Biden is not that kind of guy, okay? But I want to look at something which nobody is thinking of, and it bothers me very, very, very much. Let me see if I can explain this to you. Hunter Biden is charged in Delaware with violating some federal statutes that deal with his applying for either the purchase of a weapon, buying a weapon, having a weapon, when under the influence of drugs. Anybody see a problem with that? First and foremost, what do we have? He's going again, of course, for the Constitution and the Second Amendment. Do you see anything that could go wrong with a statute like this? Do you see anything that could go wrong with there being a prohibition against certain people possessing a firearm if they are considered to be infirm, not well, not okay? This is red flag law, ready to go. And what this is going to do one day is the following. An American, you perhaps, have your social media scoured, and someone on some tribunal considers what you're writing to be irresponsible, hate-filled, racist, disinformation, bad information, misinformation. And they petition a court to have your Second Amendment rights truncated, abrogated, suspended, removed because of your mental condition. You could be a veteran who served his or her country, suffering from PTSD, and maybe going through a period of alcoholism, maybe some drug abuse, homelessness, confusion, fright, whatever the particular reason is. And your gun is then going to be taken away from you, your Second Amendment rights. If they allow, and I predict that I don't know which circuit it is, but I believe if he is convicted of this, they'll overturn it using our Second Amendment, Trump's Second Amendment theories as pronounced and as presented by conservative members of the court. Imagine if you had your First Amendment rights limited because what you were saying was daft, that it was a little crazy, that it was nuts. You would think that's ridiculous. You can't have your rights removed because that's my point exactly. You can't have your rights truncated, your rights limited because you're exhibiting some kind of behavior that, well, isn't whatever. This is what we're looking at. So while we despise the second level, the second, I guess, this two-tiered double sense of justice regarding Hunter Biden, understand something. You should not deny him of a right to possess a firearm because he's, quote, addicted to drugs. Because what you're doing is you're allowing the courts to take your Second Amendment rights away because you are under the influence of something which may prohibit your ability to, what's the word? To act rationally. Who are they to determine what this is? Who are they? I ask you. Now, and one of the funniest things I've noticed, and I call attention to a few things, because remember, you're not going to hear what's going on by watching Fox News and listening to Typhus or whoever these people are. These are paid stooges to promote an idea that you already know, and you don't need to have them reiterate and reinforce that which you already know, but at a very silly level. But you listen sometimes in spurts to what the enemy is saying. This is Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, one of the classics. She was on State of the Union or something, and when asked a question specifically regarding Hunter Biden and his case, notice the, dare I say, inopportune, surprise, technical difficulties that befall
to a very different trial, and that is one that is going on in Delaware with the president's son, Hunter Biden. He is on trial for obtaining and possessing a firearm while under the influence of illegal drugs, which was against the law. Republican Lindsey Graham says that an average American would not have been prosecuted for this. Yes, Governor, can you hear me?
Can you?
Okay, it sounds like the governor can't hear me. You know what? We're going to take a very quick commercial break and get this fixed, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Right. Now, I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm not saying she feigned. How do I say this? I'm not saying she feigned the technical problem. I wouldn't be surprised. That is going to be Gavin Newsom's vice president. Remember this. Gavin Newsom is still, do not, people are paying attention to media buys. A lot of the spies are paying attention to what's going on in the DNC. As I told you, dear and wonderful friend, it is 148 days until the election. Okay. Now, this, unfortunately, this is what the Democrats have.
You know, I don't want to make this personal, but every time I show up at a military site where veterans are buried, it brings back memories.
Now, who do you think the memories are going to be brought back by? Remember, he's bringing back memories. This is a man who doesn't remember, who is bringing back memories.
It brings back memories. Hearing my grandfather and my mother talk about the loss of their son and brother in the South Pacific.
That's Bosey, Uncle Bosey, who was eaten by cannibals. Remember when he upset and really PO'd the PNG, Papua New Guinea crowd? Remember he said he was eaten by cannibals? Remember that? He's bringing it up again.
And I think about my son Bo after a year in Iraq.
his son Bo, very sad, his son Bo died of brain cancer at the age of 46 in Walter Reed. This is a problem. Let me explain to you. Bear with me, dear friends. This wonderful thing called memory. I know people throughout my life. I've had a most unique opportunity to meet virtually every form of insanity, professionally, maybe just in terms of people that I know, but more than you would ever know. People insanity that I have, well, been that I've marveled at. And memory is a wonderful thing. Memory oftentimes is not what happened and not a recordation of a true event, but your recollection of what happened, your recollection of something that happened, and your recollection of how you last told the story. When you are infirm, when you are entering senescence, dotage, when you are hobbled by decrepitude, memories and fantasy intertwine. And what happens is you have to sit down with the patient and you always have to tell them what reality is. I cannot believe that either his team has not clarified, Mr. President, Bo did not die in Iraq. He's rolling over in his grave, probably by virtue of what his brother is doing to his wife. But aside from that, Bo did not die in Iraq. Bo died in Walter Reed. Very sad. Don't say Bo died and you should repeat him. He did not die in Iraq. He did not die in Iraq. He did not die. Don't bring up Uncle Bosie, Flossie, whatever. He was not eaten by cannibals. Do not bring this up. Now, if he cannot remember that, either A, they're not telling him to do that. B, they're telling him and he doesn't remember it. Or C, he's just lost in this delusion. Do you have people? Now listen to me carefully. Do you know people in your life who go from lie to misapplication of memory to mental illness to whatever it is? I've known liars. And there are people who say, well, this happened. Well, I was a World War II vet. You're 50 years old. Well, I was a prisoner of war in a stalag. Wait a minute. Now, is that a lie? Or is that a delusion? Is that false memory? Think about that. I've known some people who they're not liars. Truth and reality mean nothing to them. It's a form of mental illness. There's a continuum here. It's one thing to lie. Lie is, were you really working late at night? Oh yeah, I was. Okay, that's a lie. When somebody says, yes, I was working double shift in the ball bearing factory in Lansing, that's a problem. Now that's not a lie. That's a delusion. That's nuts. There are more people who just do not know what the truth is. They don't know. Then there are exaggerated people who exaggerate. So there's this wonderful continuum. So there's this thing about him, and he doesn't understand it, and they are nowhere able to figure out how to handle this. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend, listen to me carefully. And by the way, Hillbilly wrote Jill the Babysitter. Go back and read the real truth, the dirt about Jill, the babysitter, where he was, the role she played in the first marriage, and what the circumstances were of the tragic car accident. That's all I'm going to tell you. What goes on in the world, the reality. Oh my God. Let me also tell you something. Hang on to this. When Gavin Newsom runs, either is nominated or runs for office, and he will, one way or another. He is the future, either the immediate future or the subsequent future. His prior marriage to Kimberly Guilfoyle will be there. What are they going to do with that? She's got the dirt on him. He's got the dirt on her. Do you know what the rumors, and I don't believe anything unless I see it myself. But you know, sometimes when a rumor sounds like, well, that doesn't sound far-fetched. Just put that one aside. They're going to have to sit and make agreements. This is off. We cannot do this. You're this young, put it this way. Do these folks look like they have the maturity issues nailed down? I don't believe so. Go back and look at the pictures of them, the suave couple on the rug. Can you imagine the stories? Okay, that's something to think of. Remember what I'm telling you. There's all kinds. And the story about Joe and Jill, what everybody says, what everybody acknowledges as being the truth, is unbelievable. So to wrap that part up, number one so far, before we, as to Hunter is entitled to the same Second Amendment rights that we have, and I don't care if it's Hunter Biden or not. I do not like the fact that his rights might be subject to exclusion by virtue of the fact that he has been either with drug problems, because this is red flag territory, which I despise. They're trying to find ways around the Second Amendment. There is a constitutional right. You are not granted, the rights are not gifts by the government. They're not conditional. The First Amendment is not conditional. Fourth Amendment is not conditional. Neither is the Second. Stand by for a second, my dear friends, as we go back and think about our great friends, our dear friends, our wonderful friends, our great, great, great pals from that great American institution, MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas, premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0, My Pillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever, sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets, simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965, and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. MyPillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. A couple of things here. As I mentioned to you before, we only go and we only listen to see what the enemy is saying, just to get an idea of kind of where they're headed, what their plans are, what their thoughts are. What is their position? What do you say when you represent Joe Biden? What do you say? How do you, what precisely do you say in his favor? That's the issue. Well, let me tell you what you're going to be doing right now. As usual, they're going to their usual base, and the only thing they have is to go to the television shows and the cable shows. Remember, do not watch cable. Do not watch cable. It has nothing to do with truth, reality. It's about ratings and numbers and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. But they're going to say everything in their power to make you think, oh my God. And they are going to lie at levels you've never thought. Listen to this feller. And I want you to listen to this, of how they're making Donald Trump out to be this scourge, this, I don't know what the word is. And I don't know the Donald Trump they're thinking of, but they're sending everybody out for this last moment, this Hail Mary, this attempt to again make President Trump something that he's clearly not.
Want chaos at the border, and they do not want chaos in their communities. And so we have to continue that fight. We also have to, as I remind you, remind the American people of what Donald Trump is running on. He wants to round up Latinos. He wants to round up immigrants across this country, mass detention camps. So we have to do both.
Do you think that's true? He wants to round up Latinos. This is desperate. And the best thing that President Trump could do, or anybody, is play that back and just repeat what he said. And start off with, so let me get this straight. I'm going to round up Latinos, just round them up. Mass detention. You think I'm just going to go and just pick them up? Is that what you're saying? And hold people to it. Can you tell me where I ever said that, or where anybody from my campaign ever said that, or where I've ever done this? Do you think that deportation of individuals who illegally entered the United States is wrong? Let me ask you something, young man. If you were at the airport and you were at customs, remember they had that problem with Scott Ritter, which I still don't really understand what that was about. But anyway, but because they don't like Scott Ritter, so of course they love whatever they do to him. But let's say you were standing at the airport, sir, and all of a sudden, a bunch of people just ran by you, and you're at customs, and you get the passports, and they just run by you. Would you stop them? Would you have them arrested? Would you call CDP, customs and whatever, deportations or customs over? Would you do this? Would you charge them? So you do recognize that if somebody were to, let's say, run by the immigration office at an airport, they should be stopped, right? Yeah. Can you tell me the difference between that and stopping somebody at a border? Are you telling me that you don't believe in border security? You don't. So when people just storm the border, is that what you're saying? Is that what the Biden is about? I want to make sure I understand you and hold them to it. So you're telling me, of course, there's never any response like this. So you're telling me that enforcing the law is somehow, I don't know about that. That doesn't make any sense to me. They're also getting so desperate. So desperate. It's the same talking heads, and and you can hear by the level, not only of desperation, but the shallowness of their entreaty.
Start with you. It's not surprising.
Michael Steele, quote, ex-RNC, ex-Republican Michael Steele, who has found his new job, kind of like Harold Brown Jr. Have you ever heard Harold Brown Jr. on Fox News? The most boring man who has ever walked this earth. But here's Michael Steele, the voice of reason, again, in this Hail Mary, this last-minute move.
That Trump has gone after Judge Engoron or his law clerk. I think anyone in this country would not have bet against him doing it yet again. But talk to us about this danger again, given how we have seen Trump supporters react to these attacks before.
It's enormously dangerous. I'm just shocked that we've allowed this to get this far. I'm just going to use my best analysis that I can give you at this point on this situation with Trump and his attacks on the judges. Put his ass in jail. That's how you end it. That's how it stops.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
Well, that's good. We're winning, my friends. That's it. You want to put his ass in jail because of an attack on a judge? Let me get this straight, Mr. Steele. And remember, just ask people, are you saying that you want to throw the president in jail because he spoke out against the judge in the court that he believes are unfairly prosecuting him? So you don't believe he has a right to speak? So you're against his freedom of speech? Is that what we're saying? That can't be it, can it? Are you serious? Remember, always ask people. Let me get this straight. You don't do it in court because that's very dangerous. And by the way, Mr. Steele, could you tell me what President Trump was convicted of? And I guarantee you can't. Can you tell me what it was? Can you explain it to me? Can you tell me what he did? Can you tell me the fraud that was under the felony falsified business? Can you explain? He can't do it. He cannot do it. These folks are just desperate. Raul Rodriguez says Steele is a tough guy. Oh, I know. Steele also is trying to get that moment to continue his paid gig. Remember something. They want people to watch what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. I was looking at YouTube. They have these various suggested shows. And I saw that guy Typhus with the hat backwards. I'm thinking, what is this? What is to get people to watch? Nothing wrong with that. You're not going to go for in-depth analysis of this, but that's what this is. Now, let me also show a couple of things to you. Again, the confusion, one of the most mealy-mouthed, pablum anodyne, one of my favorites, is a guy they keep on, I think with the Washington Post, Jonathan Capehart, who says, now there are some folks who are good. Like James Carville, you kind of like a little bit because he's different. A little different, you know. He's not the prototypical lefty. In fact, he's more of a Democrat than a lefty. Listen to this interchange.
Inside the White House urging the president to halt military aid to Israel and calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. How are these persistent protests weighing on the campaign?
Now, before I let this continue, we're going to talk about this. This is critical. I don't know where your feelings are about this. I don't know where you are, because the real issue is, should this be an issue in the campaign? Is it an issue in the campaign? Not really what is Israel and Gaza about and who's right or wrong, because it is an absolute slaughter. And you're going to see after this rescue, and by the way, there was a debate on CNN whether it was a release or a rescue. Oh my God. The meme, the trope is Al Jazeera folks and doctors kept these prisoners. Now you know why we go after hospitals, Al Jazeera headquarters, apartment buildings. They're everywhere. Then again, you got to say, well, if you're going after them and they've got hostages, you're going to kill the hostage. That's a whole, I'm not going to talk about the Hannibal directives and pleas. There's a whole thing about that. I don't want to complicate this, but understand what this is. You must recognize the tropism, the meme, the statements. This is what they're going to do. Again, Israel said, how are you possibly going after apartment complexes? You're going after, and you're saying, well, that's where the human shields are. There are no human shields. This is what they were saying. You're just basically making Gaza uninhabitable to perhaps bring to fruition Jared Kushner's dream of oceanfront property. This is either genocide or apartheid or ethnic cleansing, whatever you want to call it. After this rescue, as it's called a rescue, that's changed everything. The tropes, the tropisms have changed. Now you're going to have to ask yourself, what are the Democrats going to do about this? Because listen to this. If the Democrats don't show up, as they did in Michigan, if the Democrats don't show up, if there is a very secret campaign of none of the above, don't show up, don't do it. With Rashida Tlaib and AOC, and by the way, Ilhan Omar, silenced, disappeared. Always maintain the ability to know what is different, who's gone, who we talked about yesterday. I said, I haven't heard from such and such in a long time. I forget who it was, but I have to remember, I haven't heard from so-and-so. Where did they go? Because they just slip away. To use the old Clarence Carter analogy. In any event, this is the question. What are the Democrats? And this is one of the Biden officials. What is the Biden campaign going to do regarding pro-Palestinian? And they always say pro-Hamas. And I guess you could say, well, do you think that people who protested against the Vietnam War were pro-Viet Cong? I don't believe that was the functional priority of their protest. But anyway,
thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters rallied outside the White House, urging the president to halt military aid to Israel and calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. How are these persistent protests weighing on the campaign?
Well, first of all, President Biden certainly, unlike President Trump, supports the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression. So obviously these protesters are exercising their right, and that is their right to do. That being said, we certainly understand that it's a challenge. President Biden is certainly fighting for every vote. He's not taking anything for granted. But look, this is the freedom that people have. Going back to the message of freedom, they have the right to protest. They have the right to speak their mind.
She said nothing. Excuse me. Thank you for clarifying the First Amendment. What is the president's position? Yes or no? Will the Biden administration continue to fund either through appropriations, monetary, or through direct military equipping, military material and bombs that they do not have? Are they going to do that? Yes or no? And don't talk about my right to say this. Is the Biden administration going to continue to support and to supply this iteration of the Israeli government? Because, with Benny Gantz is gone and the war coalition and all this, that's the answer, or that's the question. And the second question is, how do you explain to individuals who are against this support that the Biden administration is incoherent? They talk about, well, they do this kabuki theater in public, but you've done absolutely nothing to stop this, if that's what you're intending to do. It's incoherent. They could pick up the phone, Joe Biden, if he wanted to, like that, and say, that's it, I'm done. Reagan did it. With, who was it, Menachem Begin? He said, that's it. It was Lebanon. That's it. No more. Zero. And it stopped. And Reagan supposedly said, wow, I never knew I had that much power. This is a huge issue, my friends. This is a huge issue. And for some reason in our country, it never seems to be talked about that much. You know who weighed in on this as well? The word salad logolalia expert, Carmelita.
Biden and I have been working every day to bring this conflict. I'm speaking right now, and I value and respect your voice, but I'm speaking right now. We have been working every day to bring this conflict to an end.
A conflict. Let me get this straight. If I sat down with either Israelis, and by the way, Israelis can be Arabs who live in Israel. Remember that. Remember what I'm saying. Israelis, Catholics, Baha'i in Haifa. I saw them. There's all kinds of people, Arabs and Coptic, and Jews, Christians, everybody in Israeli. So there are Israeli. Okay. But anyway, would you call this a conflict? The Palestinians will say that the Nakba, it's 1948, 75, 76 years of this, a conflict. You don't even know what it's about. Listen to me. It is so. Pick a side. Let me just tell you right now, pick aside. If you think there's some middle ground here, no way. Two-state solution, impossible. Pick a side. That's it. I'm sorry. You could, because if you don't, you're just going to be talking in circles. The next question is, for purposes of this election, do you think it makes any difference? Are Americans concerned with this? Is that a concern? Here's more logorrhea.
To a different, very different trial.
Excuse me, pardon me. Look at her. This is Gretchen Whitmer, the future vice president. Remember, I'm telling you this. Remember also what I told you about Mr. Gavin Newsom. Now, as I said before, it's very important for you to watch and to realize that if you want to hear what's going on, you got to ask yourself, why are some Democratic news organizations basically conceding? Why are they putting out information that basically hurts the Democratic cause, Biden? Is it to show that, hey, look, we're really legitimate, we're serious? Or is it, who knows? I can't figure this out. Why would you want to do this? This is CBS. Face the nation. Oh, here we go. What if Israel runs out of conventional weapons? Well, that's the, I don't want to read into that one, but that's an excellent question. Beastie blast. Listen to this particular piece regarding America's thoughts on, quote, deportation.
They would do. You'd seen the Trump campaign talking about mass deportations.
CBS faced in a CBS. Hello.
We tested that in a general way in principle. Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 in 10. It's strongest among folks who are MAGA. It's strongest among Trump supporters, but also from some Democrats as well. And I think that speaks to the general idea, not just that people see the border as a crisis, but also where we are in the campaign, where a lot of very dramatic or new proposals out there are finding favor here.
There's nothing dramatic. Do you see what they're doing? You see what they're doing? They're making you out to be that this is ridiculous. This is crazy. Deportation. Wait, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, and not only is it favored, not only is it something that people are in favor of, it's something that is the only answer available. You know, I was reading this week, Florida, my native Florida, was looking at like 15 inches of, they're controlling the weather. I don't know who they are. I don't know how it's done. I am telling you that one of the things that we're going to be looking at as the world is changing is weather, water, tsunamis, earthquakes, things that can be triggered, things that you are not, since the beginning of time, man has wanted to control the environment. And with this comes the notion of food production. Let me also tell you that we have more and more farms and huge swaths of American farmland bought by China and other foreign nations. And also keep in mind that areas like Russia, Ukraine, this is the grain belt of the world. Food is something that people think, just like water, they think it's always going to be there. It's just always water. Turn the tap, there it is. It's just there. Endless supply. And they think the same thing about food. Well, it's not true, my friends. That's why you must listen to preparewithlionel.com. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. And while you still have some control, what are you going to do about it now to prepare? Well, your first step is going to my website, preparewithlionel.com. And for a limited time, take $200 off a 3-month emergency food supply. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you and your family to prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already. These 3-month kits with Ready Hour Foods provide over 2,000 calories every day with 22 varieties and a 25-year shelf life. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, everything. And they're sealed inside 6 rugged waterproof buckets, and they're over 120 pounds of food. So take advantage right now and go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. One more time, preparewithlionel.com. I think I said this before, my friend, and I'm going to say it again. The world right now is like nothing you've ever seen. The world is, what is happening right now on levels and areas, you almost have to, I don't know, define it. Some things are important, some things are not. Social media have changed everything. I'm going to tell you something parenthetically, which I noticed yesterday, which I found fascinating. Terrence Howard, the actor, was on with Joe Rogan. And Terrence Howard says that 1 × 1 = 2 during the course of one of his. And people like Brian Keating and Eric Weinstein and Sabina Hofschfelder, whatever this physicist, they're going crazy saying, Joe Rogan, how can you let this man on to say that 1 × 1 = 2? How? Joe Rogan, how? And I'm thinking, at 2? Why is it that at every single avenue of the world's expression of everything, whether it's, I don't know what the word is, whether it's politics or music or anything, people do not want you to say things. We love to tell, please say anything you want. I used to have a guy on a show named Gene Ray, and it was called The Time Cube. It was when I was on a show called IATA.com. IATA. And it was the first internet radio show before bandwidth, before anybody could handle it. Today it would be incredible. It was so ahead of the game. Oh my God. And this fellow, I don't know what he was talking about, but he was fascinating. It was like Erwin Corey, sort of, this gibberish. And I loved it. And it was entertaining. And I don't understand what the problem is. Howard Terrence put all the scientists on notice. Well, and Terrence Howard, by the way. Thank you, Raul. What he was saying was ridiculous. But so what? So what? The other night I was listening to a fellow named Dana White. Dana White is the head of UFC. And Dana White was talking about how he has changed his life. He's into cold plunges. People swear by all of a sudden cold plunging. Joe Rogan did it. Dana White does it. Everybody goes. They love this. You get this big thing of ice water and you dump into it. Could it be water? I don't know. It's been around for a long time. Russians and others dive into. They go into saunas. There must be something. I don't understand it. But what do people say? That's crap. Why? Because I don't know what it's about, and since it's not familiar to me, it's crap. Okay. He talks about red light therapy. Get into this. It looks like a tanning booth, but it's not. It's just red light. It's at some frequency that you don't get, and you can look at it and whatever. That's crap. Why? If you can get vitamin D from going outside, why is this crap? I don't know, because it just is. People hate anything that's different. I remember one time telling somebody, Jesus had brothers and sisters. That's crap. No, you don't know this. You know, he didn't. I said, yes, he did. And one of his brothers' names was Judas. Did you know that? What are you talking about? Embrace everything. Embrace every little bit of information. Listen to everybody. Listen to the Beatles and Taylor Swift and Sun Ra. Listen to everyone. Embrace everything. Don't let anything go by. Embrace, open your brain, open your mind, open your heart, open everything. Listen to what I'm telling you. Don't let this, don't be one of these people. If somebody wants to say 1 times 1 is 2, fine. Let them say it. It's okay. It's not going to change anything. Freedom of speech, correct them. But don't say, Joe Rogan. How could Joe Rogan, with a platform that big, why did you let him on? Why did you let him say this? Say anything you want. Suzanne Summers one time was saying that she could reverse cancer with fruit juicing. There were people who talked about coffee enemas. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. There are people that I know in the plant-based business, plant-based world, who go, you know, I can't believe these people talking about eating raw meat. It's their opinion. But it's wrong. Well, they don't think it's wrong. I want to live in a world where you can say whatever you want. I want to live in a world where I can hear everybody say anything. I take everything and I reject it. No, 1 times 1 does not equal 2. I don't care if Terrence, it doesn't matter. But the first thing we do is they're crazy. Shut them down, shut them up. See, even the people who say, I can't believe these people don't let me talk about ivermectin. Well, you want to shut down Terrence Howard. Well, that's different. No, it's not different. Same thing with Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy he's no interest in being president. He wants to be a star. He wants to live the Malibu lifestyle and go on and be Bobby Kennedy. And God knows what he's doing. If he's like a typical Kennedy, be careful. I'm going to say something right now about Bobby Kennedy. Ready for this? Listen to me carefully. Let's say you and I are a member of an Intel office from Pakistan. And Intel, they're all the same. They all think alike. Give me a dossier on Bobby Kennedy. Heroin addict, substance abuse. And in fact, Mossad had this. It was a psychological profile, like a psychological dissection of everybody. What's Bobby saying? I don't know if he goes to meetings. I don't know everything about this. He's got this lunatic Shanahan who has no interest. She's just a billionaire. She just writes a check. She was into ketamine and this and that. I want to know who these people are. I want to know what their weaknesses are. And Bobby's weakness, women. Women. Absolutely, positively, 100% blackmailable. When Bill Clinton was on the phone with Monica Lewinsky, you don't think somebody could pick it up? Do you know how much? And by the way, I say this out of respect, not out of anything, because I know there's this group of people, you say Israel and they go crazy. Mossad's pretty good. That's why I don't believe for a moment they didn't know October the 7th was coming. Either they're the best in the world or they're not. I think they're the best in the world. You know, they knew about Bill Clinton and the love pillow talk or whatever you want to call it he was having with Monica Lewinsky. So one of the reasons why you're going to ask somebody is Bobby Kennedy, for example, is he able to handle this? Is he smart enough to handle this? Is he mature enough? Is he okay? What happens if he goes through some stress and can't handle? He's a recovering addict. He always talks about it. And God bless people who do this. You don't think that play? What if somebody has depression? What if somebody is prone to? Look at what happens now with this guy, with Biden. Let me just leave you with this. Listen to me very, very carefully. Our country and the future of the world is far too important to me and far too critical to have it screwed up by somebody who has interpersonal problems. That's all I'm going to say. Now, as I told you, dear friends, there is, as we speak right now, the biggest war on our children through child predation, human trafficking that you have ever seen before. And there is also a new, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a limited hangout, prototypical definitional, limited hangout on the part of leftist ghouls to give you the impression that they are making great strides in trying to address this issue, when in fact they're doing nothing of the sort. Nothing. Also, there are people in the world of social media platforms, the do-gooders, many of them from our persuasion, who will jump on anything that gives them clicks. Anything. Remember sending kids in furniture? Remember that? Huh? I know, Wayfair. But remember that? You could buy an armoire. Oh, there's a kid in there. Underground tunnels. Remember that? They jumped on this. And there are these people who say, ooh, that's great. Tell me more. And there are people who love to get into it. And they make us look like we're crazy. And if I didn't know any better, I would think they're almost plants, almost false flaggers, just agent provocateur, to throw us off, to make the world think that everybody's crazy like they are. That's all. Beastie Blast says, Israel, let October the 7th happen, buys you a carte blanche to do. Israel, let 7 October happen, buys you a carte blanche to do. Yeah, well, I think, thank you for that. Remember, there are two ways of things to happen. Number one, LIHOP, LIHOP. By the way, this is Mrs. I just gave you, this is Mrs. L's Lynn's Warriors link. Please go immediately there, immediately, and sign up for her website, her YouTube. Immediately. The information, you will not be, the resources, the people, the efforts, the hardcore, the devoted, the people who work day in and out, task forces, prosecutors, recovering victims, support groups. You have no idea. This is boots on the ground stuff, not this fanciful sitting at my kitchen table waxing crazily about, and then they came through okay, fine. They do more harm to make the cause seem like nuts. But let me go back. So that's the link one more time. Lynn's Warriors right there. Charlie Calais says, let me suggest that you have Lynn on your show to bring us data. Oh, it's a great, it's coming. Absolutely, Charlie. You read my mind, dear friend. Absolutely. Can't hear you, honey. Tonight we can do it. Absolutely. We got a brand new setup in the whole bit. Now, I'm all for that. That's what we're going to do, as a matter of fact. Now, more importantly, there are two things that happen. LIHOP. Let it happen on purpose. MyHop. Make it happen on purpose. When Condoleezza Rice said that there was a PDD, a Presidential Daily Directive, PDB, Presidential Daily Briefing, that said Al-Qaeda or something like that, determined to attack American buildings with planes, it spelled it out. They knew this particular effort was happening. They knew it was going to happen. They knew it. If that makes any sense to you. They knew it. They knew it was at least on the drawing board. Could that have been LIHOP? Don't know. Many people have suggested. Make it happen on purpose. MyHop is when it's deliberately orchestrated by you. So either way, the thing which is the most difficult for people to understand is, how is the greatest intel organization, how did they miss the fact that Hamas was working on this for 2 years and even had little miniature scenes and setups and sets? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I'll let other people decide. But the issue is not going away, dear friends. The issue is not going away. This, I promise you. I promise you that one. So Charlie Calais, thank you so much, my friend. Beastie Blast and Raul Rodriguez, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're doing I'm telling you, the Democrats right now in this, the Biden forces, there's no way he can make 148 days. There's just no way. And he is in free fall intellectually and cognitively. And I don't say that necessarily out of any sense of happiness. It doesn't make me happy in the least. All right, dear friends, we will see you. Make sure you remain. Make sure you remain. Make sure you are absolutely, how do I say this? That you are subscribed, because so oftentimes people say, I'm unsubscribed. Please like this video. Please stay tuned. And thank you so much. Have a great and a glorious day, my friends. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. And until we meet again at 7 p.m. this eve, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Dad.